Good afternoon, everyone. Treasure Troller here from the militant state of Michigan, where Gretchen Whitmer enacted a law targeting me, of all people, Treasure Troller, so it makes it illegal for me to drive and vlog at the same time. But we may have come up with a hack. But even if we do get fined, Lamont said he would pay for the fine. So we're on a free roll. So before we get into the main part of the vlog, I have a quiz for you. I guess a quiz for anyone out there because apparently no one watches the vlog. So I went to Jimmy John's the other day and I ordered a vegetarian sub. A vegetarian sub. And this is the sub I got. And the pop quiz is, can you tell me what's wrong with my vegetarian sub? So there it is. So I know what you're thinking, but you are incorrect. You are incorrect. The correct answer is there's nothing wrong with that vegetarian sub because any sandwich that has bacon on it is the correct sandwich. So you are incorrect. The bacon was the key to making the sandwich perfect. All right, so I went and saw William Shatner live last night. William Shatner live. I had no expectations of the show, so I really wasn't. It was hard to be disappointed if you don't have any expectations. So, I went down there with a friend of mine. And we got talking about, I stayed down there in Benton Harbor last night. So before the show, basically the show started at 9. William Shatner started at 9, but they ran a Star Trek movie before William Shatner came on. There's a slight or a very short intermission, and then William Shatner came on. And I'm gonna say William Shatner talked for about maybe just under 2 hours. So the first thing was, before we got there, we saw that William Shatner, he charges between $100,000 and $200,000 for appearances. So we're trying to run through the numbers about how this community college with a 1,600-seat auditorium could actually break even on a William Shatner appearance. There was ticket prices. We paid $80 for our seats. There was some, I don't know, they were 125, 130. They were up close to the stage, but I mean, it's a 1,600-seat auditorium. There aren't any nosebleed seats at this auditorium. So you're all, the difference between, maybe let's say the least expensive were $60. The difference between the least expensive seats and our seats was about 20 feet. And it was maybe 30 feet from where these other people were paying almost twice as much as I was. So, about the show. I mean, the show was okay. The one thing that is obviously clear is that William Shatner loves to hear William Shatner talk. I guess you could say the disappointing part about it is it's almost like sitting in a philosophy class and asking the philosophy professor about, I don't know, what would Socrates think of the concept of time? And he would go into a long 20-minute soliloquy on what the Peloponnesians thought of time and the Amazon or the Aztec calendar, and what Plato's philosophy on time was, to basically come back to the point of, well, Socrates really didn't give a shit. So you would get, a 20-minute, 15 or 20-minute talk on finally getting to the answer, which was really every question, not just one or not just two. So, in the hour and a half, he answered, he came out, which was kind of astonishing, for about the first 30 minutes and talked kind of about AI, talked about the writer strikes and how it's kind of technology is what got us to this point. Technology is what's caused the strikes, and then kind of how we proceed with technology after. And what was interesting is that he could not say Star Trek. He could not even, because of the writer strike, he could not watch that Star Trek movie with, the audience had he chose to. He couldn't watch the Star Trek movie. He couldn't say Star Trek. He couldn't say Enterprise. Captain Kirk, nothing related to Star Trek. He was able to say Boston Legal. And he was able to talk about, I don't know what the show was, I've never seen it, but it was him and Terry Bradshaw and I believe George Foreman and somebody else, where they traveled around the world and old guys trying to do things. I don't know. I never saw it. So he gave about a 30-minute long initial thing. And then he answered a few questions from the audience. They were written down. It must have been from the VIP people, because I never got a card to ask a question. Majority of the questions were kind of, as a, does he believe in there's life elsewhere? Someone asked him about favorite people he worked with on Star Trek. And then there was that question about that, if they would ever do that show again, with the Terry Bradshaw and him. And that was really about it. There was no questions about Boston Legal. There was no... It's like if you were to ask William Shatner, if you're going to ask William Shatner 10 questions, maybe two of those, and they talked to him about when he went up on that, up into orbit. That was another question. I mean, of the 10 questions that I would ask William Shatner, I might ask him about the space ride, the rocket ride. I might ask him about, I wouldn't say Star Trek people you like to work with. Can you name a few people your career working on Star Trek, Boston Legal, TJ Hooker, that goofy ass show, whatever. Do you have some favorite actors that you worked with? Heather Locklear. I mean, holy shit. How could you not ask a question about Heather Locklear? But anyways, I don't think you would ask all those questions. The questions that he got were heavily Star Trek related. I mean, the average audience of the crowd must have been about 50. But I will say, William Shatner, for 92, William Shatner, whether it's good jeans or good docs, the dude looks great. He would stand up, he would sit down and stand up. He was not bracing himself. He's got a mic in his hand, both hands, and to answer the question, he would stand up. There weren't any handicap devices around. And not only that, with the exception of maybe stumbling over, he couldn't remember the name of Terry Bradshaw at first. There was something else that he was some sort of company. I don't know. I'm beginning to think it sounds more like that Theranos. Something about a diagnostic tool with spit. Had to do with Ebola. He was talking about Ebola. And but this diagnostic tool that uses saliva, and they can diagnose a bunch of different illnesses or diseases. And to me, it sounded like Theranos, with the little prick of blood could pretty much tell you the day you were gonna die. But anyways, he could go on this 20-minute. You would ask him the question, do I think there's life on other planets? And he would go on this 20-minute answer on how everything on Earth is connected, and how it's sort of foolish to believe that there are not things that are connected, in other parts of this galaxy or whatever. So do I believe there's life on other planets? Yes. So it was 20 minutes to get back. I'm thinking Joe Biden couldn't do this. Joe Biden couldn't do this. So I think the only thing, had I done it, I didn't do it. I didn't care to do it. But they had, like I said, this VIP thing for like an extra $100. You could get your picture taken with Shatner, and it may have been for about a couple $100. You could I think get your picture and get an autograph, kind of a brief one-on-one moment with William Shatner, and that was a couple $100. What they did at the end of the show, and I would have been absolutely livid. I would have wanted my money back. I would have demanded my money back. I kind of sat there and kind of waited for the crowd to thin out. The guy comes out on stage and says, okay, we're getting ready for the VIP stuff. The people that with your pictures with William Shatner. You're not actually standing next to William Shatner. You're standing like there's a piece of plexiglass in between you two. So he's standing there, and they're worried about the Chinese Immunity Enhancement Program or something, but you didn't actually stand next to. There was a piece of plexiglass in between the two of you, and they weren't going to do any of the signings. All the you're going to get this for the $200. You're going to get your poster signed or whatever from him. They weren't going to do any of that. It's like, hey, the shit's already been signed. Shit's been signed. You're just going to come back up here and maybe stand next to the plexiglass, get your picture, walk over to the table, I guess, and get your thing. So I'm thinking maybe Shatner got there early. They knew how many posters he was going to have to sign, and then they just pulled them out on the table, and he signs them there. And, hey, it's a late night, everybody. He's got to get to his next performance. He did 3 in a row. He was, I know he was in Wisconsin Friday night, and then he was in Benton Harbor Saturday, and then he's like right back over by Chicago or something like that tonight. So, he did have another one tonight, but I would have been really livid if I would have paid $200, for 200 fucking bucks. You're going to shake my hand. I'm going to say hi to you. You're going to say hi back. I'm going to say, hey, loved you in Boston Legal. Shake his hand, get his picture, grab the poster that's, is going to get damaged by the time I get home. But for 200 bucks, I want, one little personal encounter if I was that big of a William Shatner fan. But that didn't happen. I would have been hugely disappointed had they would have pulled that crap on me 2 minutes before the VIP thing. So I would have been extremely disappointed. So I guess if the William Shatner thing is what you want to do, I might check on their venues to see if that's what they were doing. If there wasn't any of this one-on-one time VIP thing, I would be careful of that. If your intent is to at least shake his hand and look him in the eye and say hi, and you're going to pay the $200 for that privilege, I would make sure that he's going to be in agreement with that as well, because I would have felt hugely ripped off by that move. That was a slapdick move. Other than that, it's okay. Like I said, he looks great for 92. I hope the hell I live to be 92, and I have the kind of health that guy has, because it's unbelievable. I think you go to that. It's an over 50 crowd, and it's kind of Star Trek. If you weren't a Trekkie fan, I think there's only like 3 or 4 people dressed up in Star Trek outfits. But he admonishes the crowd when they want to speak up. If he's talking about something and someone hollers something, he'll just say, hey, quiet. People paid money to hear me, not you. Admonishes them quickly and sternly. So you will get his attention, but it is attention that you weren't hoping to get. So overall, it was okay. I mean, if Treasure Troller was doing the interview, I'm sure he's probably there. They grab the questions and they go through them. He picks out 2 or 3 that he wants, and then it's over with. But I guess buyer beware with the VIP. If you really wanted to meet him, you damn best make sure that he's going to be back there shaking your hand, because that was a slapdick move that they pulled last night on those VIP people. I would not have been happy. So that is Treasure Troller saying aloha and good day.